Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's event, Chasen Tea Whisks, workshop visit and demonstration with Tanimura Tango, hosted by Japan House London. This is a live event from Japan featuring a conversation with a master craftsman of chasen, Tanimura Tango, and a visit to his workshop to explore his carving techniques and the world of tea. This event is being held with thanks to Nishihara Sakiko. My name is Simon Wright. I am the Director of Programming at Japan House London. And before we start, I will just run you through a few instructions about how this webinar will be conducted. Please note that your microphone and webcam will be disabled for the entire duration of the event. And please use the question and answer feature to type any of your questions that you may have for the presenter at any time throughout this session. If you do not want your name to be attached to your question, please check the option Send Anonymously. Questions will be collected by Japan House moderators and a selection will be answered live at the end of the event, but please do note that we may not be able to answer all questions during the session. The contents of this event will be streamed live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, where a recording will be archived later. So today's event is broadcast live from Japan and from the UK. From two locations, from Japan House London and from Takayama in Ikoma City in Nara Prefecture. So chasen, or tea whisks, are hand-carved from a single piece of bamboo and are used to mix powdered matcha with hot water in chadō, or chadō, sometimes referred to also as cha-no-yu, the Japanese way of tea. And this is also sometimes known, you would probably be familiar with, the word tea ceremony. So following an introduction to the history of chasen manufacturing in Takayama in Ikoma by master craftsman Tanimura Tango, we are treated to a special live demonstration of part of the manufacturing process of chasen, broadcasting from Tanimura-san's workshop in Takayama in Nara Prefecture. And finally, there will be an opportunity for our presenter to answer a selection of the questions submitted by today's attendees. So please do send in your questions at any time throughout this session. And I would now like to introduce our presenter and master craftsman, Tanimura Tango. If Tanimura-san, you are there, I will tell all our viewers and attendees, hello, Tanimura-san. Hello. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I will just tell our attendees a little bit about you before handing over to you. So born in 1964 in Takayama, Ikoma City in Nara Prefecture, Tanimura Tango belongs to the Tanimura family, members of which have been producing tea whisks for almost 500 years in the town. Since 1993, he has been dedicated to the family business, and in 2006, he was named the official 20th generation master craftsman. In 2013, he participated in the Revalue Nippon project, presided over by Nakata Hidetoshi, with Sato Kashiwa, the art director of Samurai Creative Studio, and Tagawa Kinya, the co-founder of Takram Design Engineering, co-producing and exhibiting the artwork Takefino. In 2015, he was certified as a traditional craftsman by the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, and he is a regular instructor of Urasenke chadō and a managing director of the Takayama Tea House Production Cooperative Association in Nara Prefecture. Thank you very much, Tanimura-san, for joining us. It is a great pleasure to have you with us. We're all very excited to see what you will be able to show us today. For most of this, Tanimura-san will be speaking in Japanese, and Kurosawa is kindly behind the scenes interpreting for us off camera. So without further ado, let me pass you over to Tanimura Tango. Thank you very much, Tanimura-san.
Hi, thank you. Hello, everyone. I am Tango Tanimura from Nara, Takayama, Japan. I'm so glad to meet you tonight. Please enjoy this webinar. Thank you. それでは今日はですね、皆さんとこの茶筅というものについて、少し勉強していただきたいなと思います。
Hello, today I will be explaining about this chasen, tea whisk I'm holding with everyone.
今ご紹介いただいたように、この茶筅というものはですね、抹茶を攪拌する道具なんですが、これが一本の竹からできると。今日はその秘密を見ていただこうと思います。
As Simon explained, chasen is used to disperse matcha in the hot water, but it is made from this one piece of bamboo, and I will explain how it is done by process.
それでは少し画像をですね、見ていただきながら進めたいと思いますが。
First, let me show you some pictures.
スライドショーですね。はい。スライドショーから。ちょっと待ってくださいね。さっきのスライドショーが、残ったままで、一番最後のやつがそのまま出るということ。
Hold on. I need to change the slideshow because the previous one was open. So wait a moment, please.
はい。はい、ちょっとすいません。茶筅を作るのには慣れてるんですが、パソコンにちょっと疎いもので申し訳ないです。
I'm very used to chasen-making, but PC, when it comes to PC, I'm not so well versed. So if you could wait a moment, that would be very much appreciated.
すばらしいですね。はい。ですね、こうしまして、共有。あれ、なんで出てこないんだろう。こうする。はい。はい、はい。大丈夫です。今、スライドショーにしてもね、編集どういう風にする？あれ
？We're trying to find the correct button to make the slideshow available.
なんで？はい。そうですね。そうしていただけるとありがたいです。今、一応最後のチャンスで、これ、スライドショーにしたら、これで、どうですよ、これで。
Can you see? I hope you can see.
見えてますか？申し訳ない。
Thank you. Sorry.
すいません。今日はですね、この茶筅について勉強していただくんですが、この今映ってる画像の茶筅が我が家の代名詞である新和穂という茶筅です。
So I will be explaining about chasen today, and the one pictured here is called Shinkazuho, and it is our signature tea whisk made at our workshop.
このように茶筅というのは抹茶とお湯に溶かす際に、攪拌する、混ぜるための道具なわけですね。
And as you can see, chasen is used to distribute matcha in the hot water and to mix it together.
で、昔中国から抹茶というものが日本に入りましたが、その当時はですね、このような茶筅というものがまだできておりませんでした。
Matcha was brought from China to Japan, but back then the instruments such as chasen did not exist.
で、今から500年ほど前にですね、僕が住んでおります高山というところで、今の形の茶筅が発明されたと言われています。
Around 500 years ago, chasen was believed to have been invented in Takayama, where I live.
で、それまでにですね、茶筅ができるまではどのようなもので混ぜていたかというと、このようなササラというもので混ぜていたと言われております。
So what did people use to mix hot water and matcha before chasen? It is thought that this instrument such as this, sasara, was used.
ササラというものは簡単にご説明しますと、例えば中華料理屋さんで中華鍋を洗うようなものですね。
Sasara is still used, something similar to sasara is still used to some degree today. It is used to wash a wok in a Chinese restaurant, for example.
ですから非常にこれは単純な道具なわけですが、このササラですと、例えば非常に硬いので、まずお茶碗に傷がいく、そんな心配もありますし、第一、あのような細かい泡というものは期待できないわけです。
So sasara itself is a very simple device, but the problem with it is it's very hard in texture. Therefore, there was a risk of scratching a tea ball. And because it's quite large, you won't be able to make a froth that you see in this picture.
で、現在のこの高山の茶筅の最大の特徴は、この写真で見れるように、茶筅の穂先ですね、穂が内側と外側、この二重構造になっている。それがササラと違う。そこが、最大の特徴ですね。
The most notable characteristics of chasen, compared to sasara is that if you look at the tips of the tines, you see that it is double layered, and one side is facing outward, and the outer side is facing inward.
はい、それではその茶筅がですね、どのような、これが茶筅ですが、どのようにできるか。まず、茶筅の材料は、この白い竹の茶筅の場合、八九という竹からできます。
And what is chasen made of? In these white bamboo chasen, we use the type of bamboo called hachiku.
はい、八九というのは非常に硬くてまっすぐで、繊維がたくさんある。ですから細かく割るということに向いている竹なんです。
The hachiku is known to be hard in texture, grows very straight, and also very fibrous. Therefore, it is suited to make chasen which needs splitting into lots of parts.
それでは緑の竹がですね、どのように白くするか。まずこれを見ていただきます。
As you saw, bamboos are green. In its natural color. How is it made white? I will show you.
冬の寒い時期に切った八九をこのような特製の釜で、いわゆるボイルするわけですね。
And hachiku bamboos are cut in the winter, and it is being boiled, steamed in this special kern, as you see in the picture.
はい、10分ほど煮沸しますと、このように竹の表面に汚れや油分が浮き出てきて、それをきれいに拭き取ります。
If you boil the bamboo for about 10 minutes, you see that the oil covers the surface of the bamboo, as you see in the picture, and those oil will be removed, wiped over.
そうしますと、このように、少しきれいになりまして、今度はそれをこのような円錐状に立てかけて天日乾燥するわけですね。
And you see that the bamboos are cleaner, and it is dried in sunlight, placed in this manner in a cone shape, as such.
これは時期で言いますと1月から3月、ちょうど今の時期なんですが、高山のあちこちでこういう風景が見られます。
And this drying in the natural sunlight takes place between January to March. So we are in the middle of this process. So if you come to Takayama now, you'd be able to see this happening everywhere.
で、約1ヶ月間天日乾燥しますと、このような緑色の竹が白く変わるわけですね。
After a month of drying in this natural light, and then bamboo will turn white in color.
はい、それでこの竹を干しているところに雪が積もったりするとこういうふうになります。
And if snow falls while the bamboo is still drying, this will be what you will be able to see.
これはまあ一つのいわゆる冬の高山の風物詩として皆さんに愛されております。
This scenery is loved by many people as one of the most beautiful scenes that you can see in Takayama.
はい、続きまして、我が家のご紹介をさせていただきます。
And now I will move on to introduce our family, our house workshop.
こちらが我が家の中庭ですが、裏の山手の方には見渡す限りの竹やぶが広がっております。
This is the picture of our inner garden, but you can see in the back, but the bamboo forest is sprawls outward.
ところがここに見えている竹はほぼすべて孟宗竹という、茶筅には使えない竹なんですね。
However, these bamboos are mostly the type called mosochiku, which is not suited for chasen-making.
我が家の古い茶筅がいろいろ飾られておりますが、これは中には100年ほど前の茶筅もあります。
And the chasen made within our house is displayed here, and some of them are more than 100 years old.
これは非常に古い資料で、日本の江戸時代という時代の資料、ですから300年ほど前の資料ですが、いわゆる茶筅の設計図のようなものですね。
And this is an old drawing explaining about chasen making from the Edo period, so around 300 years ago. You could think of it as almost like an architectural drawing of a chasen.
この資料がなぜ珍しいかと言いますと、実は茶筅作りというのは昔からですね、秘伝、とにかく作り方を秘密に、する、それを堅なに守ってきたという歴史があります。
Why is this old drawing very valuable and rare? It's because traditionally chasen making was treated as the secret to be kept within the house, between houses. Therefore, it was kept only within the family.
一子相伝という言葉がありまして、子供が生まれても長男にしか作り方を教えない、しかも口伝えで教えると、そういう歴史がありました。
There is a saying in Japan called Ishi-soden, so only one child will be able to inherit this method. And so that was kept very stoically, just to pass on to the eldest son. And the method will be only taught verbally as well.
ですから、この資料というのは非常に珍しい。なぜならば、こういうものがあるとですね、よその土地でこういう茶筅作りが始まってしまうわけですが、結果的には日本で茶筅を作っているのはこの高山町という、非常に小さい集落だけなわけです。
Therefore, something written down in regards to chasen making is very rare and unusual. People were worried about the chasen making being taken over by other regions, but in reality, chasen is only made within Takayama, only in Takayama still today.
はい、これが昭和14年ですから、今から80年ほど前、85年ほど前の我が家の様子ですが、祖父母とひ祖父が仕事をしています。
And this picture is from Showa era, and so it's about 85 years ago. My grandparents and my great-grandparents are pictured here making chasen.
昔から茶筅というのは家族単位で行う仕事でして、家族の中で役割分担をして、いわゆる分業の形で作ると決まっていました。
Chasen was traditionally made within the family, as I explained, and each process was taken over by a different family member. So it was definitely a collaborative work.
ただし、このやっている作業は今も昔も全く同じなんです。
And the process itself, the process of chasen making is exactly the same as before.
はい、実は2019年にイギリス、僕はイギリスが大好きなんですが、イギリスの方に、日本の茶人の方と共に行きまして、現地で実演をさせていただきました。
And I will explain my link to the UK now. I love the UK, I have to say. And back in 2019, I had the pleasure to visit the UK with a tea ceremony master. And I did my demonstration.
これはロイヤルレミントンスパ近郊のコンプトンバーニーという美術館ですね。
And this picture was taken in Compton Burney at the museum near Royal Leamington Spa.
そしてオックスフォードのアシュモレアンでも実演と茶杓削りの講習をしました。
And we also did a demonstration of chasen-making and tea ceremony at the Ashmolean Museum in Oxford.
で、その後、ロンドンに移りまして、今日も多分見ていただいていると思いますが、ポストカードティーズのドフェイさん、ティムさんとアサコさんとも一緒に、再会できました。
And I'm sure some of you from are watching from Postcard Teas, but I managed to meet up again with Dofei, Tim, and Asako from Postcard Teas back when I visited.
そちらでは、浦千家、炭鉱会、ロンドン支部の方々ともご一緒できまして、非常に思い出深い、そんなひとときでした。
And at Postcard Teas, we managed to run a demonstration with Urasenke Tankokai, and it was very memorable.
ロンドン行ったからにはということで、こういうこともさせていただいています。
And as I visited London, I had to go to this location. So here is the picture.
はい、それでは写真は以上で終わりまして、次にいよいよ茶筅作りを実演をですね、ここで見ていただきます。
So those are the pictures that I wanted to share. And now let's move on to the chasen-making workshop. I will demonstrate.
本日はそのすべての工程をね、詳しくお見せするわけにもいかない、時間的なこともありますので、工程が5つあるんですが、そのうちの1と3と5については特に詳しくお見せしたいと思います。
As much as I would love to go through each step thoroughly, we don't have enough time. So there are 5 steps within chasen making, and we will be focusing on the first, third, and the fifth processes.
先ほども言いましたが、この一本の竹がですね、このように茶筅になっていくわけですが、それではまず第1の工程からスタートしたいと思います。
As I explained, chasen is made from this one piece of bamboo, and I will show you the very first step.
まず一番最初にすることはですね、この決められた寸法に切られた竹の節から上の約半分の皮を剥く皮剥きという作業から始めます。
The first step is to peel off the skin of the first top half from the node of the piece of bamboo, which is cut into the set measurement.
これなぜ皮を剥くかと言いますと、皮というのは非常に硬いので、皮を剥かないとですね、後々茶筅の穂先を曲げたり、いわゆるカーブさせたりするのに、皮が邪魔になるんですね。
And why do we need to peel off the top layer? It's because the skin of bamboo is very hard. Therefore, it would affect how the bamboo is bent, which is necessary to make chasen.
そして茶筅というものは振るとですね、穂先がしなるんですが、このように穂先がしなるんですが、皮がついたままだとしなりが悪い。
And chasen, if you shake it, you will notice that the tips gently shake, and that is crucial in order to whisk the tea. And that could only be done by peeling the skin.
はい、続きまして、今度はですね、このような大きな包丁を使いまして、竹を上から叩いて割っていきます。
And we use this big knife to split the bamboo from the top.
はい、この時に気をつけることは、節まで割らない。 割れが節で止まる、節の手前で止まるような力加減で割るということですね。
And what we need to make sure here is that we don't split up to the node. We have to make sure that the split stops just before it.
いろいろな割り方があるんですが、一番多いのは16に割る。
There are many ways to split the bamboo, but the most common is to split this piece of bamboo into 16 segments.
従いまして、こう半分ずつですね、8回割ると16になるわけですね。
Therefore, I would need to split, make the knife goes in 8 times, and that would make 16 segments.
はい、この竹の割れ方というのは、もちろん竹自体の個体差もあるんですが、あともう一つ、湿度、乾燥具合、そういうものにもよるわけですね。
And how the bamboo is split obviously depends on each individual bamboo, but humidity is a big factor as well. It really depends how humid the room and the bamboo itself is.
はい、今これで16に割れてます。
You can see that the bamboo is being split into 16 sections.
次にどうするかというと、これをこのようなポーズで持ちまして、1本ずつ上にこのように引き上げていきます。
And the next process is that you put the knife inside the bamboo and hold it in this manner and pull up each section.
これちょっと音が聞こえにくいかもしれませんが、竹が今こうミシミシという音を立ててですね。
It might be harder to hear over Zoom, but bamboo is making the noise as it's being pulled upwards.
そしてもう一度きっちりと高さを揃えながら折っていきます。
And we bend the bamboo into the same height for all of them.
もちろんこれね、思いっきりやるとそのままちぎれるんですが、適度な強さで折っているということになりますね。
And as you can imagine, if you put too much force into bending, it would just that section would come off. So you have to be careful. You have to be gentle with it.
今どこを折ったかというと、見えるかなと思いますが、内側ですね。内側のこの竹の実の部分、白いところ、白い色の部分を根元で折ったわけです。
Where did I bend? You can see that the inside is being brought out, so that you can see the white color of bamboo much more than before.
外の皮はつながってるんですね。中の実の部分だけが今折れています。
So the outer section that close from the node is still attached. Only the inside is being bent.
はい、次に今度はですね、この茶筅というのは薄い皮だけが必要なので、中の白い部分はいりませんので、今度はこの皮と実の間に包丁を入れていきます。
And next, for the chasen, we don't actually need the interior of the bamboo, the white section I've just shown you. So you you put the knife between the skin and the inner meat of bamboo, as you were, and
外の皮の部分を1ミリぐらいの厚さを残しまして、上から包丁を、1センチか2センチぐらいですね、入れてますね。
So you can see that about a millimeter of bamboo's top layer is being left, and the inside of the bamboo is you remove it from the inside of the bamboo.
この作業はそちらで見ていただいているとちょっと怖そうに、危なそうに思われるかもしれませんが、実はそんなにね、危なくはないですね。
And just by looking at it over Zoom, it might seem very flimsy and potentially dangerous, but this process is not. Please don't worry.
はい、この後、皮と実を指で持ちまして、このように簡単に皮と実というのは離れます。
And as you can see, the top layer and the interior bamboo can be removed quite easily after being split with knife.
なぜこういうことができるかというと、竹というのは繊維がたくさん通ってるからこういうことができるんですね。
And why is this possible? It's because, as I explained, bamboo is very fibrous.
木ではこうはいかないわけです。やはり竹という素材がいかに素晴らしいかというのは、毎日手にして、つくづく感じているわけです。
And this won't be possible by using any wooden material. This could only be done by bamboo. And it makes me realize every day as I make chasen that how unusual and amazing bamboo is as a material.
これで今、皮と実が完全に分かれましたので、この実の部分はもう簡単に取れてしまうんですね。
And as you can see, the top layer and the inside has been removed, and the inside could just come off very easily by hand.
これがいわゆる第一工程というものが今出来上がったところです。
So what I've just shown you is the first step, and we have completed.
はい。このペースでいくとちょっと時間が足りなさそうなので、ちょっと足早に行きますが。
If we keep up with this speed, then I don't think we will. I think we will run out of time. So I will hurry from now onwards.
はい、次に第二工程、小割りという工程なんですが、さらに細かく割っていきます。
The second step is called kowari, and we will split into much finer pieces.
ここはちょっと詳しくできないんですが、簡単に言えばこのように持ちまして、こう割っていくわけですね。
So we won't have time to go through in detail, but you will split each section by putting knife inward.
で、これ、先に小割りをしたやつなんですが、実はこれ細かくね、割れてるんですけども。
And this chasen has, we have done the kowari process already with this one. It's already been split, as you can see.
実はこの時に、細い太いというね、順番に割れるように太さを変えて割ってるんです。
But it's not just being split into random. You need to alternate into a smaller tine and the thicker tine. And so you have to make sure that the order is correct.
で、その後、茶筅が太い方が外穂になりまして、細い方が内穂になるんですが、この小割りという段階で先に太い細いを決めて、このように細かく割っているわけですね。
And the thicker tine will form an outer layer, and the finer one will go inside. But you already start this process in this kowari section.
で、この小割りが終わりましたら、このように、少しこの小割りができたものを水につけます。
And after kowari process is done, you soak the bamboo into water.
で、今度は3番目の作業になるんですが、これをちょっとカメラを移動させますので、ちょっと待ちますね。
And then we will move on to the third process, but let's move the camera slightly.
はい、今度は第3番目、味削りという作業になります。
And the third process is called aji kezuri.
はい、今までですね、1と2の作業は割るという作業だったんですが、今度はですね、削るという作業になる。
And the first and the second step that I've shown you was mainly splitting, but the third process is more about shaving.
このように、小割りができたものを水でつけたものをですね、竹の台の上に乗せまして、ちょっと見えますかね。はい。
So the first and the second process is done. So the bamboo has been split and soaked, and you will put the chasen into bamboo on top of this worktop.
このように内側から穂先に向かって緩やかになだらかに薄くなっていくように削るわけです。
You shave from the inside of the bamboo, gently forming the slope almost, to make sure that the tip will be the finest point.
で、この穂先の薄さ加減というのは常に指先の感覚のみで見ているわけですね。
And the ideal thickness is being measured by the craftsman's fingertips only.
で、この厚み、薄さ加減というのが茶筅の命です。
And this thickness is really what forms the chasen. It's necessary to achieve the ideal thickness.
茶筅というものは消耗品ですので、長持ちした方がいいんですが、ここの厚みが厚すぎても薄すぎてもダメですね。長持ちさせようと思えば厚くしておけばいいんですけども、厚すぎるとしなりが悪いですね。
And chasen itself is a form of a consumer goods. It will need to be replaced. And in order to make it longer lasting, people might think that it would be better to get a thicker chasen with thicker tines, but that won't make a good. That won't be good for tea.
薄ければ薄い方がいいかというと、薄いとよくしなるんですが、薄すぎると今度は耐久性が落ちるわけですね。
So you might think that it would be better to make it as fine as possible, but that won't be, because if it's too fine, then it just won't last long enough.
ですから、丈夫さとしなやかさというのは相反するわけですが、それをどこでバランスを取るか、それが一番重要なポイントです。
Therefore, durability and flexibility are at the polar opposite end when it comes to chasen, but it is what we're trying to achieve is to create the perfect balance between the two.
ですから僕も父親からですね、この仕事を教わったときに最初にこの部分から教わったんです。
So when I first started to train as a craftsman, my father told me this process as the very first step.
薄く削ることによってここでいわゆる竹に弾力が生まれるんですね。
And as you can see, by shaving it to like much finer, you can tell that the bamboo started to bounce a little more.
はい、そして、これが削り終わったやつがありますので、ここにあった。
And we have the chasen that has gone through all the processes.
はい、これが削り終わって、いわゆる弾力が生まれた状態。削る前は、こういう硬かったんですが、今、先を薄くすると、ここで弾力が生まれてるわけですね。
And this is the one that's finished the shaving process. You can see how flexible the tip is. It's because the tines are very fine.
はい。で、ちょっと簡単に説明しますが、これは削り終わった茶筅。次に、面取りというのがありまして、面取りというのは、外穂ですね。太い方、外へ出る方の、この両側の角を取るわけです。
And now we move on to the mentori process. And this is for the thicker tines, which forms the outer layer. And you remove the top and the inner skin of each tine.
なぜこんなことをするかと言いますと、少しでも茶筅がですね、お茶の中を動くときにスムーズにお湯が抜けやすくなる。
Correction, mentori is not to remove the skin, but like remove the corner of each tine. And the reason for that is to make the tea whisking as smooth as possible.
はい、面取りが終わりましたら、今度は糸が入ります。
And after mentori, we put the thread inside.
糸のかけ方を簡単にご説明しますと、まず一本の外穂に糸を引っ掛けます。
And I will explain very briefly how the thread goes through the bamboo. And we pick one outer tine and put the thread underneath it.
そして次の 外穂にまた引っ掛けます。
And then choose the next outer layer.
そして、糸を持ち替えて、また次の、どんどんこう、右へ右へと進んでいく。
And then you
これ
move
が
on
編
to
み
the
方。
next. You go, you work from left to right.
ですから、外穂にだけ、糸をかけると、結果的に内穂というのは中に残るわけですね。
So by weaving only the thicker tine to form the outer layer, the inner tines will be left by itself.
で、これはまあもう途中まで、だいぶ編んだ状態ですが、少しこれを完成まで編んでみますね。
And this is the weaving process is mostly done with this one, but I will finish it up here.
この糸をかける仕事は昔から女性がすることが多かったわけです。
And this weaving process was traditionally taken by women.
なぜならば、怪我をする心配がですね、ほぼないわけで、そういう意味で女性が多かったですね。
The reason is because the risk of hurting yourself was very low with this process. So that's why women tended to be responsible for this process.
はい、これはいわゆる薄茶用の茶筅なので、糸が3周かかってます。
And this chasen is for usucha, so that the weaker tea. So we thread in 3 layers.
最近はカラフルな糸で編んだ茶筅も流行ってますが、まあ元来はこの黒糸一色なわけですね。
And mostly, historically, black thread was used for most of the chasen, although recently colorful threads have become quite popular.
はい、これが最後のとこですが、最後のところに来ましたら、糸で輪っかを作りまして、最後の穂に上から入れまして、一回玉結び。これで終わりです。
And we are at the last tine. And when you come to that, you put a circle, you form a circle with the thread, put onto the last thread, and then you bind it at the top. That's the last step.
はい、茶筅の完成というのはこれで一応完成はしてるんですが、すぐこのまま使えるんですけども、最終工程、第5工程ですね、仕上げというのに今から入ってみたいと思います。
So what I'm holding is the chasen. You could call it a finished product because you can whisk tea with this, but I will be adding the finishing touches.
まずこの開いた状態の内方をですね、指でねじり込んでいきまして、でまた指をねじり戻して、このように束ねるわけです。
And the first finishing touches that I would be adding, I just added, is the inner layer is being twisted over.
そうしましてから、この穂先のカーブですね、これをもう一度癖付けします。
And for the outer layer, I am making sure that each tine forms the right angle.
そうしましてから、これからこの穂がですね、バラバラな穂を今からきれいに揃えていきます。
And now I will make sure that each tine forms a good layer together by adjusting how they bend.
このように一本ずつ穂を持ちまして、間隔や凹凸、カーブの曲がり具合、そういうものを揃えていくわけですね。
So what I'm adjusting is the spacing in between, angles, how they bent, how they distribute within each other.
まあ、一度でも使うとですね、このきれいに、整えたものが、バラバラになるんですけれども、商品としてお出しするときには、これをきれいにしてお渡しする。それはいわゆる職人の一つのプライドの部分であるわけです。
Chasen, as you can imagine, once it's been used, it won't be completely equal in its spacing and angles, but when we are providing chasen to the customers as a finished product, we make sure that everything is perfect. That's the pride that we have as the craftsman.
はい、それでは、これをですね、してる間も、もちろん、お話できますので、サイモンさん、ご質問がありましたら、ご紹介いただけたらと思います。
When I'm doing these, the very last process, I can still talk. So Simon, if you would like to ask me questions, you're welcome to.
Thank you very much, Tanimura Sensei.
Thank you.
I will, yes, I'm looking through the questions here. We have, while you are in this particular mode, you were using the thread to separate the tines. We have a question here from Javier. Javier likes the colored strings. You were using black strings there. Are there other colors that you use?
はい。先ほど申し上げましたように、元来黒糸だけなんです。というのは、黒糸というのがお茶の汚れが一番目立たない、目立ちにくい色であるということですね。そして昔からあったのは他に白糸、赤糸、その3種類だけです。ところが最近はカラフルな黄色であったり、緑であったり、ピンクであったり、お客様の希望でそういう糸で編ましていただくことも増えました。
Yes, originally, as I explained, that the chasen was only weaved with black thread. And the reason for that is because it showed the color of tea or the stains of it the least. But there were other variations in the history as well. White and red were used. But so those three colors are the most historical: black, white, and red. But recently, colorful threads have become more in fashion. So yellow, green, pink threads were sometimes used, depending on what the customer wants, really.
Thank you very much. We have a message here, yes, about Takayama. I mean, I personally, I found the picture of the stacked bamboo in the snow in Takayama extraordinarily charming. I do, yeah, hope that we can all see that one day in person. The question we have here about Takayama is from Nikki, and Nikki is asking, does it mean then that chasen are only made in Takayama in Nara Prefecture?
100% ではないんですが、95% 以上ということになってますね。はい。
So, maybe not 100%, but more than 95% of chasen is made in Takayama.
Wonderful, thank you very much.
それがなぜならば、その作り方の秘密を守るということをもう一生懸命守ってきたわけですね。
And the reason for that is because, as I've explained, the methods were kept in secret, and all the families were very adamant that it won't be passed over to other regions.
Understood. Thank you very much. We have a question here about the varieties of chasen. I remember at Japan House, we had a number of chasen on display during the series of events we held in conjunction with our friends in Nara Prefecture. I saw different colors, for example. We have a question here. How many varieties of chasen are there?
はい、chadōというものが、流派というものがありまして、それは現存しているのは多分20流派ぐらいあると思いますが、それぞれに茶筅の形が違うわけでして、いろいろ、そしてまた同じ流派の中でも用途 使い道ですね。使い道によっても茶筅の長さとか形が若干変わりますので、すべて拾い上げると100種類ぐらいはあるかなと思いますね。
Yes, this is linked to how many schools and methods there are in Japanese chadō. And I believe there are about 20 that still exist to this day. And within even within each schools, different chasen are used, and depending on the purposes and the type of tea that they're making. So all in all, I would say about 100. There are different 100 varieties of chasen.
Marvelous. Thank you. Thank you very much. We also have a question about the difference between usucha chasen and koicha chasen. How can we tell the difference between these two kinds of chasen?
はい。先ほどからお見せしている茶筅はすべてこれ薄茶用なんですが、濃い茶用の場合、この一本一本の穂がもっと太いですね。ワイドになります。
And all the chasen that I have shown you today is for usucha chasen. And for koicha, the tines would be a bit thicker. It would be wider, especially the outer layer.
というのは、濃い茶というのは非常にいわゆる茶筅にかかる負荷が大きくなりますので、それだけしっかり丈夫な形じゃないとすぐ折れてしまうということですね。ですから、一本一本の穂が太くて丈夫な、それが濃い茶用です。
The reason for that is because koicha chasen needs to be more durable, because you need a bit more weight in order to mix the matcha for koicha, and that's the reason why the tines are wider.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. We have a question here from Alexandra. Does the weather during the bamboo drying process when turning from green to white affect the chasen? And how does it?
その時期に乾燥させる理由の一つとしては、例えば太陽が非常に低い、太陽光線が柔らかい、ですからじっくり1ヶ月乾燥させても竹が割れないんですが。
And the reason why we choose that season to dry the bamboo is because sun is low, and therefore the rays are more gentle. So even if you dry it naturally for a month outdoors, the bamboo wouldn't split.
で、その時期っていうのは、実はそんなに雨は降らない。先ほど雪の写真はありましたが、雪自体ももうだんだん積もることは少なくなってまして、あまり雨は降らないですね。それを狙ってその時期にしたのかは別としても、結果的にはそんなに、竹にダメージを与えるほどの雨の時期ではないということです。
And I have shown you the picture with the snow on the bamboo, but that doesn't happen as often nowadays. And also, it doesn't rain as much during that season. So that's probably, I can't tell you exactly why that season was chosen, but I think that's one of the factors. So what I'm trying to say is the weather doesn't affect bamboo as much during those seasons.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the next question. This is from Kevin. Your craft relies heavily on good knives. How long do the knives last? And how do you ensure that your knives are maintained well? Are the knives passed down through the generations? Or do you have to get new ones? Do they wear out?
はい、ちょっと見ていただきますが、
I'd like you to show you.
もちろんその刃物っていうのは職人にとって命みたいなところがありまして、 刃物が切れないと仕事にならないわけですが、まあ、例えばでもこのようなですね、最初1番でボンボン割ってたような刃物、これは非常に原始的な刃物です。
And as you pointed out, the knives are the core to our craftsmanship. But I'm showing you the different types, but the ones that are used in the first and the second process for splitting, they are quite primitive.
ところがこの3番目で、お見せした削る作業に使っていたこの包丁は、これはもう完全なオリジナル、自分で作った包丁ですね、これ。
But the ones that was used for the shaving process in the third process, they are my original knives. I've made them.
で、メンテナンスですが、もちろんこれも毎日やってます。切れているうちは、調子がいいときはですね、そんなにやらないですが、すぐ調子悪くなったりすると、もうほぼ毎日のように手入れはしております。
And in regards to the maintenance, I do this almost every day. It's when sometimes it's not necessary, but like when I notice that it's not as shaving as well, then I will make sure that I maintain it.
Thank you very much. I'm going to ask you a question about maintenance. We have several questions asking people asking you about how to look after the chasen. How do you clean it and how do you store it? How do you take care of it when you use it regularly?
茶筅っていうのはですね、使っていただきますと、お茶の成分が、まあ、穂についたり、あと内側にもつくし、外側にもつきますので、それをそのまま放っておくと良くないので、使った後はよく流水でですね、穂についたお茶の成分を洗い流していただきたいですね。
And okay, in regards to looking after chasen, after every use, make sure that you run chasen with running water because the tea powder is stuck on both outer and inner layer. So make sure that you get them off.
そしてこうよく水気を切っていただいて、この方向に置いていただきたい。
And after you've run the chasen with the water, you shake the droplets off. And then you dry it in this manner so the tines are facing down.
よくこういうですね、茶筅置きって言いますかね、癖直しと呼ばれるものがありますが、そういうところがあれば、そういうふうにこっち向きに置いていただきたい。
Some of the chasens have the kusenaoshi, but the chasen rest made from bamboo in this manner. If you do have that, then make sure that you stuck the inner layer in this manner.
で、この状態で乾けば、またこのように直しておいていただいて結構です。
And once it's dry, you can pull up the chasen and put the layers on facing upwards.
Thank you. Thank you. We're unfortunately running out of time, but we do have maybe a chance for one last question, which is coming up from quite a few people as well. It's can we find chasen in the UK?
はい。先ほどご紹介した、ポストカードティーズさん、あるいはマンチェスターのですね、ところにもうちの得意先がございますので、そちらにお問い合わせいただけたらと。チャオロジーという、2つのお店で、イギリスではその2つにとお取引させていただいております。
Yes, you can get the chasen made in our house in two locations in the UK. One is the one that I've explained already, Postcard Teas in London. Postcard Teas in London, and also Chaology in Manchester sells our chasen as well. So if you could contact both locations, I'm sure they would help you.
Thank you. I have to say that we also have them at Japan House as well, that we do have chasen available made, and I believe
失礼しました。
Yeah, not at all. I mean, I'm glad that we can find places all over the UK where chasen are available. And I believe ours are also made in Nara Prefecture, which is wonderful. So if you're interested, you can hopefully find them somewhere near to you. Unfortunately, that is all we've got time for today. We had so many questions coming in. I feel, Tanimura-san, that maybe it's unfortunate we were unable to meet in person this time, but hopefully maybe we can do this again in London so that people can come and see you for real. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Thank you
very much.
to Tanimura-san. Thank you to Kurosawa,
ありがとうございました。
who has been interpreting, and also thank you to Nishihara Sakiko, who has helped put this together. Thank you to everyone who has joined us. And following this event, Japan House London will send attendees a feedback questionnaire by email. So please do fill this in, and this will help you, help us with continuing to hold these kinds of events. Just a few things about Japan House London now. The demonstrations of live chadō by the Tanko Kai in the UK, our windows on tea are being held at Japan House until the 6th of April. Please do look at our website for those dates and times. The current exhibition, which is called Windowology, New Architectural Views from Japan, is a free exhibition at Japan House from the until the 10th of April 2022. Please do come and see us here at Japan House. On Thursday, the 3rd of February, we have Windows on Contemporary Japanese Architecture Photography Talk with Jérémy Soutera. He is a photographer who is also exhibiting in the Windowology exhibition. This is a live event and will also be held online for those who are not able to attend in person. We also have until the 6th of April our short films, Hashirama Sochi, Equipment in Between, which look at the ways that windows have developed in Japan, in Japanese architecture. And we have a talk by Nakatani Norihito of Waseda University, The Richness of Space in Japanese Architecture, Hashirama Sochi, and that is an online event on Tuesday, the 22nd of February at 12 o'clock. Once again, thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much to Tanimura-san from Nara, who has given up his precious time to tell us all about the making of chasen today. Thank you very much, and we hope to see you all again another time. Thank you. Goodbye.